Today we're working on a 2006 Chrysler 300M with a 3.5 liter V6 motor. We're assembling this motor and we're at the segment of the head gaskets. We're doing a head gasket on here. We've already completed the bottom portion of the build, but people had sent me requests, so here it is. Anyway, as you can see, we have the block here, which has been cleaned. Always start with a clean block. If you go through the trouble of taking the engine out of the car, take time and clean your block. Okay. Obviously, this portion doesn't really matter because there's nothing going on here, but the inside, your surfaces, all that, you want to clean off your old gasket material. Also, before you apply your head gasket and your cylinder heads, it's advisable to go ahead and put your number one cylinder at top dead center. That'll help you whenever you go to install your timing belts. And as you can see here, the number one cylinder for this particular motor is actually on the right side. Every motor is different. Always check, make sure. Some of the times you'll find your number one cylinder on the left side. In this case, the number one cylinder is on the right side, as you can see here. And this is from the front of the car. So if you were sitting inside the car, the left side of the left bank is 2, 4, 6. The right side, which is the passenger side, is 1, 3, and 5. So we'll turn this up to top dead center. As you can see, these pistons are turning great. Of course, when they're in the car moving, they actually turn a whole lot faster. So this is the number one cylinder. We're going to bring that up to top dead center. Right there. Top dead center is the point at which it can't get any higher, and just before it starts to go back down into the chamber. Now, the cylinder heads for this particular application have already been surfaced by the machine shop. You'll notice we have new valves in here. This particular car, the valves were just ate all to pieces, so we had to put some new valves in this one, as well as you'll notice this side here. This is left and right bank. The head has been surfaced. This particular engine had an oiling problem of oil gumming up, so I sent it to the machine shop and they tried to clean it as best they could. But you'll notice the rocker arms still have a little bit of a glaze of old burnt oil on there, and that's sticky, sooty, just cooked in oil from miles of wear and not changing it regularly, actually. So that's been cleaned. We've got new valves, stem seals in there, as well as the valves have been adjusted up under the rocker arms here. So you notice the ports are all clean. Your next step is your head gasket. This is the old head gasket here that came off of the car, and you'll notice how it's deteriorated along the edges here. So it's just a matter of time before the head gasket actually blew, and you know how you had other problems before the problem arose that this car had. These are the new head gaskets. You'll notice that the head gaskets are marked left and right, so it is very important, again, to remember the right side of the motor and the left side of the motor. These are pretty easy to install, as a matter of fact, once you have your heads off of the motor. So we'll install these. Again, back to your diagram. Your left bank is this side here, so we'll take the one with the L and we'll match it up to the 3 holes there. Match those 3 spaces up. Simply take that gasket, lay it down on the head. Then as far as your right hand side, just want to do the same thing. Okay. You notice your R is facing up. There's not an imprint of what it is on the back, so you want your directional letters facing up. There's your right head gasket, and here's your left head gasket. Now once you place your heads on that, that's going to smash these layers down. This particular head gasket has 3 layers of steel, as well as the other little sealing compound that you see marked out on the steel. Alright. When doing this particular job, it is recommended that you use new head bolts. For the cost of what it is, it only makes sense to use new head bolts. These head bolts, what happens over time is they stretch. And they were stretched whenever the original heads were, well, whenever the engine was originally put together. So, when you go to replace, whenever you replace the head gasket, if you don't use new head bolts and you use the same old bolt, then your head is, and your bolts are stretched, you're not going to get a true torque reading of you're not going to get a true torque reading of the bolt. Now that you have your new head bolts, you'll want to find out what the torque specifications are for this particular application. Alright, and you'll notice that the torque specifications here are in 4 steps, and it also actually has a 5th step that lets you check the torque. It says it should be 90 foot-pounds or greater. So you'll want to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then check it on check it on step 5. Okay, this is your sequence in which you'll tighten it up. You'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. And mounting your cylinder head, you'll notice you have tabs here on the left and the right. Those are going to go into these holes on the cylinder head to help line the cylinder head up. When doing this, when you place the head down, you don't want to slide it around because you don't want to mess up your surface. Anytime you have to move it, you want to lift it. And then slide on like so. Also, if you have a motor mount, you can actually turn your stand so that this is sitting straight up. Now that we have our head mounted onto the block, we'll remove our rocker arm panel. Actually, on this particular one, you don't need to remove the rocker arm panel. Your head bolts go here. But if this rocker arm panel is in the way of any of the bolts, and I believe on one of these you actually have to remove it because it gets stuck in there. But the head bolts, and before you install these head bolts, apply a light coat of oil if they're not already pre-lubed. A lot of times nowadays manufacturers will sell you a pre-lubed bolt, and even though they are pre-lubed, I still like to run them around each other to make sure I got a nice even coat of oil on there. But you'll notice these washers are pretty big, and when you go to drop that in there, as a matter of fact, that's the particular one. So that's the reason why you have to remove your rocker arm before you install your head bolts, because if you don't, you're not going to seat that bolt in there properly. We're going to go ahead and torque this down. We'll mount the other head, torque that one down, and then our next segment we post will be about setting the timing for this particular engine. If you have any questions, please post comments, subscribe, and have a great day.